Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we're going to be doing a really fun video and we're going to be talking about my most disappointing books of the year. So I don't think most of these are not bad books by any means, but I just personally was a bit disappointed by them. Some of them I actually gave quite high ratings to, and I feel like they're a slightly different category. Like some of them are like my most like worst / disappointing books, but then some are ones which I did still enjoy, but they just didn't quite live up to my expectations of them. So yeah, that's the distinguishing feature there. So we'll talk about the disappointing / worst ones first, and then I'll just talk about a couple which I still thought were good books and I did enjoy reading them, but they didn't quite live up to what I thought they were gonna be, type thing. My hair is out of control once again. I'm like bulk filming all these videos and I made my hair all curly so now it's just trying to tame it, but I do think it looks nice. Yeah, anyway, we'll see. So yeah, so the first book, and probably the worst book that I thought on this list anyway, is The Steel Remains by Richard Morgan, and I gave this one 2 stars. And to be honest, sometimes I think I'm a bit too generous with ratings, so I might give more books 2 stars, but generally if I give a book like 2 stars or 1 star, I didn't like it. Yeah, so anyway, so this book I thought was gonna be cool because I thought it was like dark fantasy but queer, but it was the most it somehow managed to be like super homophobic while having the main character as gay, and I don't know how the author managed it, but it was really hard to tell. I couldn't tell if it was like a straight person writing what they thought gay people were like, or a gay person writing what they thought straight people thought gay people. It was just very confusing. And yeah, there was very like sexist, there was a lot of misogyny, there was a lot of rape, like there was a lot, I didn't even follow the plot because I couldn't work out what was going on. There was some funny scenes in defense of like penises getting slapped around. It was a very strange experience, that's all I'll say. And I thought it was going to be like a Joe Abercrombie but like a bit gayer, but then it was terrible. Which I'm sure some people do like the series, but like it was just too sort of dark and strange and homophobic and racist and all the bad things. Yeah, I just didn't really like it. As you can probably tell, would not recommend that one to anyone. Some of these I would definitely recommend to some people, but yeah. Okay, then the next we have The Maidens by Alex something, I can't quite remember what the surname is. It begins with an M, definitely. And this is a thriller. You will notice on this list there are quite a few thrillers, not even thrillers, like I think this is the only like pure thriller, but some of the others are like thrillery science fiction fantasy type books, and I just don't like thrillers to be honest. So yeah, this one was yeah, disappointing. I thought it'd be like, I think also I'm not the biggest fan of dark academia. I'm just learning that about myself. Yeah, I did really like Ninth House, but all the other dark academia I think I've read, like dark academia adjacent type books, I haven't liked that much. I think they're just too pretentious. Yeah, so anyway, so this one, it's like set in Cambridge or Oxford, one of the two. The main character I think is a like psychologist, and her like, not her daughter, maybe her niece or her like stepdaughter or something, has just gone to this college in Oxford, and there she's joining like this thing called the Maidens, which is like this secret society, and then the maidens of the secret society start dying. And the main lady, the psychologist, is convinced that this like one of these like teachers is the one responsible for the deaths, so she's like fixated on him and trying to like take him down, but then actually maybe a different murderer is at large. But I don't know, I thought the tension was built quite well, and I liked the audiobook. I thought the audiobook was good, but the sort of I don't know, like I feel like the dark academia elements, I don't know how I feel about those, because I don't know how much I don't know if it was good dark academia but I didn't like it because I don't like it type thing, or whether it just wasn't that great. And then the twist at the end I did not like. Yeah, that was just so stupid. And I think that's my main problem with thrillers, is I never like the twist at the end. I can't really think of one where I've liked the twist. I don't know why. I always just think it's because often the build-up can be really good and then it just falls flat, like every time almost. So yeah, so I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, then we'll stick with the Dark Academia theme. So A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. So I thought this book was entertaining and I gave it about 3.5 stars. So I did quite like it, but it was still quite disappointing to me because I don't know, I was really looking forward to this one. And I thought, for some reason I thought it was like historical setting, because I think I'd seen like some fan art of it and they were wearing like Victorian clothes. But it was set in modern times, which first of all I thought that was a bit stupid really, because the characters just acted like they were in the 18th century, and if it had actually been set then it would have made sense, but instead it just came across as really like pretentious. And yeah, so anyway, the main character Felicity, she, like a year ago her girlfriend Alex died, and in a kind of a mysterious way, at this school called Dalloway, which is like this prestigious academy, and Felicity's been away and now she's coming back like a year later, and there's this new girl called Ellis who's trying to work on this project. Oh no, Ellis is an author and she's trying to work on her new like book, and in order to try and like get in the frame of mind for her book or whatever, they decide to try and recreate these murders of this Dalloway Five, which is like these 5 girls a couple of centuries ago who all died in like a sort of religious-y, culty sacrifice type way. Or no, not like a ritualistic sacrifice type way. So they're trying to like recreate those murders. But at the same time Felicity's sort of being haunted by her grief for Alex, and also there's some sort of like haunting type thing going on. And I think it was just like I liked Felicity's story, and I liked her sort of history with Alex and like getting those flashbacks and the sort of haunting and stuff, and I wish the book had just been that and like not included the stuff with Ellis and the like. I did like the Dalloway Five like legend, but the like recreations and stuff I just thought I didn't need that. I just cut it out, which probably is the main plot of the book, but bye bye. Yeah, so it just annoyed me, various bits and bobs. I think I would have really liked actually a book about Dalloway Five. I think that would have been cool, but I felt like the book just read, and this book I think had The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue syndrome, which I've just coined as a new medical diagnosis. But both the books had that feeling of like the author thought they were being so cool writing this book, but it just didn't quite like come across. I don't know how to explain it. Like the book was almost written as for an aesthetic rather than actually for the story, and it definitely came across that way. And like and I feel like this book, it frustrated me because I think it should have been adult, and it should have been horror rather than like a thrillery, because the horror elements were really well written and like some of the creepy scenes, and I think that's why I thought it should have just been like Felicity and Alex, because I think that would have been really cool, and there could have been some really cool like ghosty stuff and like Felicity sort of not trusting herself, and I don't know, I just thought that would have been really good. But then instead it was sort of bogged down by its like pretentiousness and the like trying to shoehorn in Dark Academia, which didn't always fit, to be honest, and like this writing, and there was loads of literature references, which maybe you would like if you're like an English literature student, but obviously I'm not, so that just, I didn't really care about that. And the fact that they're all like 17 and they're smoking and drinking whiskey just annoyed me so much. I mean, the smoking is a whole other topic. I do not like it in YA books when characters smoke. Like in adult books, okay fine, you're an adult, you can make your own choices. But in a book that's marketed for teenagers, like no. The alcohol, I don't really have a problem with teens drinking because they're gonna do it anyway, but the thing that bugged me about it was the fact they were drinking like whiskey, and they all hated it, and they were clearly just doing it for like because it's like cool and Dark Academia vibes to be having whiskey. Well, why can't they just be having vodka? Come on. What teenagers drinking whiskey? But like it would have made so much more sense if they'd been in like college and they were like 23, and at least then they could have been actually a bit more like, I don't know, it would have seemed a bit more fitting. And then also I felt like the book got very dark, and but it just didn't feel quite, I don't know, it should have, I think it was like on the precipice, like it should have either gone like fully embraced the dark and been like proper adult horror, or it shouldn't have gone that dark, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt like it was kind of limited by its YA-ness. If the author fully wanted to go down that route, but instead it just felt a little bit, not cheesy, but like it just didn't quite fit. I don't know how to explain it. It's really hard to explain. It's more just about the kind of vibes, I think. But yeah, so there were some things that annoyed me, but yeah, anyway, I've ranted on about that one for a long time. Oops. Okay, then next we have The Gutter Prayer, which I did quite like this series. So the whole series, this is not just The Gutter Prayer, this is the whole series, because actually I did quite like The Gutter Prayer, but then I think the series just went slightly downhill for me. But I did like it. I think it just didn't fully live up to my expectations, and just the books didn't always fully like make sense to me. I think I tended to get a bit lost sometimes, and it was just a bit like, I don't know, I think it was the writing just did not click. Like occasionally you get authors when like you try and focus on the book and it just doesn't quite make sense, the story, like the writing style just doesn't click with you. I think that was the thing for me. I think a lot of people will like the series, and I do think it's a good series and it's well written, but I just think, yeah, it didn't click with me, and I didn't love any of the characters enough to like save the story for me. Yeah, so that was a bit disappointing. What else we got? Oh yeah, Witch Shadow by Susan Dennard. So I did like this book, and I do love the Witchlin series, but again I think this one was just one that was a little bit disappointing. Just, I don't know, I don't know if I've just grown out of the series a little bit, or it's hard because I enjoyed the book. Like I like Iseult and I like Safi and I like all the side characters, but the book just felt a little bit like the plot and stuff was a little bit lost. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it felt, I don't want to say a filler book because it wasn't exactly a filler book. It was just like, I don't know, the story felt a bit aimless. Like I still love all the characters, but just the plot and stuff, it just felt a bit all over the place. And yeah, so that was just a little bit disappointing. But I will carry on with the series because I do still like it, but I think it just, and I can't even think of like a specific criticism other than it felt aimless. But yeah, I think that's the problem sometimes with longer series. Sometimes you get a book which just is a bit wishy-washy. Okay, so the next we have All of Us Villains. So I feel like we're now getting into the territory of, I did quite like the book, but it just didn't quite love it as much as I wanted to. So I did like this one, but again I think I was a bit annoyed with this one, similar to A Lesson in Vengeance, of it just felt a bit like, yeah, I'm also going to give this book Addie LaRue syndrome, because it felt a bit like the authors were like, felt like they were cooler than, I don't know, I feel bad because like, I'm really not a cool person, but there's just like a certain thing that comes across, and it feels like, I don't know how to explain it, like, but yeah, and I think this book is another one that felt like it wanted to be this like dark, murderous, Hunger Games-y type thing. Well, yeah, but it wasn't half as dark as it thought it was, which I actually preferred, because I quite like it when characters are like a bit nice. I don't know, but it was like, I think it was marketed wrong. I think that's the thing, and it also annoyed me a bit because it was like, I think marketed as like queer, but then it just felt like, instead of, and there were some queer characters, but it just felt like the main relationship was like shoehorned as a het relationship, and there was no chemistry between those characters, and it just annoyed me because like there were so many other like side characters they could have been with, but it just annoyed me, that bit. And then again, it was like the characters were meant to be super morally grey, but they weren't really. I feel like they were kind of good people who thought they were being bad, and they were put in quite a bad situation. But I think the storyline was interesting, but yes, sometimes it felt like the characters were like telling you how bad and how evil they were, and like they were not bad and they were not evil. And there's just one character who actually towards the end got very interesting in terms of like morally greyness, but I think if you're looking for like a dark morally grey type book, I don't think it's really that kind of book. I think if you're looking for like a more tournament-y type book with some quite cool magic, then I think you will enjoy it. But don't go in looking for like a super dark, gritty like type thing with like the villains as the main characters, because the characters did not read as villains. Yeah, I think that is my thoughts on that one. And then the next two definitely were good books. Like one of them I gave 4 stars to. I think the other I gave 3.75 stars. But just something about it slightly disappointed me. So the first one was Ace of Spades. So I do think this is a really good book and it's really important, and I think the themes of like racism and stuff were really good and very important to have in like a YA book, and it's great that it's so popular. But I think the thing that I didn't like about this book was the thriller element and the like mystery element. Because I did like both the main characters, I thought they were good, and I like the sort of almost side plot lines of them like coming into themselves and like being confident in themselves and that kind of stuff. Because it's like that kind of YA themes, and I like those themes, but the actual mystery element itself I just really did not like. And again, it's like, because I thought the tension was built so well, and so basically the book, there's this mysterious character called Aces, who's kind of like A from Pretty Little Liars, sending out these like texts to these two characters, like harassing them and like spreading gossip about them around the school. And so the main mystery, I guess, is trying to figure out who Aces is. But then it just annoyed me so much, the main reveal. And like some of the characters, like there was one character in particular who it was not believable that what they'd been doing for like so long was all an act, and like suddenly they were this super evil character. I don't know, and I get the point of the twist was to like make a point about sort of racist institutions, but so I think it made sense from that point of view, but as a satisfying thriller twist, it just wasn't really, I didn't like it. I don't know, I just didn't feel like it made sense or didn't fit with the sort of first half of the book type thing. Like, and I think it's similar to like in thrillery murder mystery type books, I hate it when the murder turns out to be suicide, because that's just, you're not there for that, you're there to discover like who the murderer is. I don't know. So it wasn't that, obviously, but because there's not really any murder, but the reveal just felt a bit like that, like you've been looking forward to finding out who this like evil person is, and then it's just not quite what you think it's gonna be. So yeah, I didn't like that element. But I did think the like sort of high school drama, like gossipy elements were good. I did really enjoy that, but I think it was just the last bit of the book which let me down a little bit. And then yeah, events just escalated, I think, way too, like it got way too dramatic for what it was, type thing. I don't know if that's making sense. And then the last one was Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. So I really love Sorcery of Thorns, and I thought I was gonna love this because it was like, well, I mean, I did like it, but it was like ghosts and nuns and like spirits and things. And it was a really funny book for me because I did love basically everything about the book except the main character. The main character was an absolute wet dish rag. She was so boring. She had no personality. It was just, ugh, yeah. And there were some really good elements of the book. Like, I love the atmosphere. I love the like spirit character that she sort of gets this like, she gets kind of custody of this like ancient evil spirit who keeps trying to convince her to kill everyone. I really like that character. I like some of the side characters. I like that there wasn't a romance. It was very much focused sort of on like character growth and things. But just the main character was just did not like her at all. Yeah, so that was a bit disappointing to me. But again, that's a book that I think is quite good and I think people will enjoy it, but I just did not like the main character. And I think that's the thing, like you have to have an, even if not a likeable main character, you have to have an interesting main character. Otherwise the book just doesn't quite come together as it should. Like what could have been an incredible book just was let down by its main character. So yeah, so let me know in the comments a book that disappointed you this year. I want to hear some roasts. I know I'm not really like a roasty person. I'm not very good at like biting into books. Oh, what's this term? Biting into books? No, like I don't know, anyway, but I love seeing other people do it, and yeah, although don't let me know if it's one of my favourite books. I don't need to hear that. Yeah, and if you enjoyed the video, please give a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I hope you're all having a really great day, and I'll see you next time.